when we are in different time zones. So is it Shannon or Joey that's running the slideshow? Shannon, you want to go ahead and advance to the next slide? Well, we want to welcome you to the National Home Visiting Week Toolkit launch party. It feels like we should have party hats and like those little party horns going on right now, but we are so happy to have all of you join us. I'm asked frequently, why have a National Home Visiting Week? Well, I think home visiting is often overlooked and it gets lost in the broader fields of early childhood and maternal child health. Teachers have their day, nurses have a day. For Pete's sake, even cats have their day. The home visiting field deserves to have a whole week dedicated to lifting up their extraordinary contributions to this world. Go ahead and go to the next slide. Well, the Institute is thrilled to continue in our role as the creators and organizers for the week. We call this our passion project, but we don't do this all by ourselves. We are not alone in this work. You can advance to the next slide. This year, we're joined by an incredible group of people that are helping with the planning and carrying out activities in preparation for the week. And they aren't just pretty faces and names on a slide. They are all taking a leadership role in bringing you National Home Visiting Week 2.0. We all want you to be successful and to have a great week. And I'll turn it over to Benjamin.
Thanks, Janet. So we did learn a lot from our first trip on the Home Visiting Week cycle. And what we heard from folks in the field is they want more. And please, can we start this process earlier? Because it felt a little bit rushed for folks. And to be fair, it was a bit of a whim. And so I think it was quite successful. But the ideas that we got from the field after our attempt last year, our success last year, I should say, is give us more ideas for the kinds of celebrations that we can have. How do we do our budgeting? What is the line item? Could we have more social media templates that we could use and plug and play for our use? Can we please start the nomination process earlier so that it's not rushed? And then ideas for including educators to incorporate the National Home Visiting Week in their classroom or some other things. So the toolkit will cover all that and more.
I'm going to handle this slide, and I did record it because I didn't want to leave anything out. So if you give me 2 seconds, I'm going to share my video with you. Hi, everyone. I'm Joey Coakley-Beck, Creative Director for the Institute, and I'd like to introduce you to the 2026 National Home Visiting Week Toolkit. It's full of helpful tips and tricks and information to help you get started with participating and celebrating home visiting during National Home Visiting Week. The toolkit is now live on our website, and I'll include a link here in the chat, but I hope you use this great resource to help take part in this year's National Home Visiting Week. During today's webinar, we'll discuss these tools in more detail, but for just an overview, the toolkit is full of great information. For example, ideas how you can participate in National Home Visiting Week. This is a national movement, but it needs local participation to make it successful. The toolkit includes celebration ideas with examples from this past year's event that were fun and very successful and definitely worth taking a look at. The toolkit has local and state proclamation information and has an easy to use template anyone can use. So if you don't think you can speak to your local officials or are intimidated at the thought, we hope this toolkit eases your fears a little bit and shows you how a little work can yield a huge return. Elected officials want good news, and home visiting is great news. The toolkit also includes budgeting and planning tips and resources from 2025's event to help inspire your own ideas for this year. Probably the biggest news included in this year's toolkit is National Home Visitor of the Year details and a link to the nomination form. Nominations open today and will close January 9th. So be sure to make a note of the deadline and get your nominations in on time. It's an easy process to celebrate deserving individuals all across the country, and we'll highlight 5 big winners in April. If you take a look at this slide, you can see our national social media and online impact for this past year's event. Our national media hits, social media reach, and website visits were unbelievable during National Home Visiting Week. And there were 10 confirmed state proclamations, with all but 2 states participating in National Home Visiting Week. This event is great exposure for home visiting, your programs, and your team. And this information is all in the toolkit. I know it's a lot, but it's a very useful toolkit to help kick off National Home Visiting Week 2026. We will be adding more tools and resources over the coming months. So keep an eye on our website and social media channels. We'll also include these in upcoming emails. So make sure you're getting those. In January, we'll be releasing part 2 of the toolkit, which will include social media templates and graphic assets anyone can use, along with their own marketing plans, media tips and tricks, and more. So stay tuned for that. I just want to say, please use these tools. We want to make it easy for programs and for you and your team to take part in National Home Visiting Week and to be able to celebrate home visiting during this special week in April. Home visiting deserves the recognition, and we want to help make it easy for everyone to join in on the fun. Your celebration can be as big as a black tie gala or as small as a simple thank you gesture. However you and your team are able to participate in National Home Visiting Week will be meaningful and special to home visiting all across the country. Okay, Shannon, you can bring back your slides. I think this might be Malia. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that, all right. So hi everyone. I'm Malia Rose Waters and I'm with Healthy Families America. And I am so excited that we're already planning and getting started with everything that we're going to do for National Home Visiting Week 2026. And I've had the pleasure over the last few days to speak with some folks that did some really fantastic work around doing the celebrations and lifting up the voices of their communities, and excited to share them with you today. So if you don't mind to go to the next slide. Yes. Okay. Wonderful. So first we're going to hear from Lacey Shanks from Community Action Agency of Siouxland. And I am so glad that you're here, Lacey. It was such a pleasure to hear from you yesterday. Jean may also be on the call, but Jean gave all the praise to Lacey for all of the work that she did on this. So she's going to take a few minutes to tell you about what they did. And if you have any specific questions for Lacey, please feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll have a few minutes after she shares with us that she can answer some questions directly. Or if we aren't able to get to your questions today, we can follow up with you later, or it may turn into content for the toolkit, maybe if it's something that comes up several times. So I'll turn it over to you, Lacey.
Thank you. My name is Lacey Shanks. I'm the home visitation manager at Community Action Agency of Siouxland. We're located in Sioux City, Iowa, and we serve Woodbury County here in the Midwest. So when I got asked to do this, I was nervous for it because I'm like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. And Malia did a great job of calming me down. And Jean did a really good job of helping me organize this. So what started out, I truthfully didn't really know anything about this. I'm not going to lie about it. But I got notified that one of our home visitors was nominated on a higher level for the National Home Visitor of the Year, and she received the award. And so that just kickstarted my, what do I do? I need to do something. I need to celebrate this because, like Janet said, there's always, like in a teacher appreciation, there's a social work appreciation month. And for home visitors, where do you fall? You fall in between the two. Um, and so a lot of coordinating with Janet on, can we do this presentation in person? So that really kickstarted having a big luncheon. Um, a lot of coordinating with other management to help me get our office space ready, customizing gifts. I've done an appreciation quiz with my staff over the years, so that way I can understand and individualize how do they like to feel appreciated. Is it the warm gifts, words of affirmation, quality time, all of those things. So just individualizing it to them, because that can just further that appreciation. Then came the idea of inviting policymakers to the luncheon so that way they can be recognized. I know Senator Chuck Grassley has really supported this week and he's within our area. So emails started to go out to all the local representatives from Iowa Congress to Iowa representatives and senators at the federal level. Unfortunately, a lot of them were in session, but Senator Chuck Grassley did send a representative from his regional office. And he was able to attend a socialization or a group connection the next day. He wasn't able to make the luncheon, but we furthered that and we invited community partners. Because like I was talking with Malia, there is a slight competition in enrolling families, getting services, meeting those needs, but in the end, we're all here for families, right? That's what we all want to do. We want to work together to make it work. And I have grown such a partnership into a friendship with a lot of these girls in our area, and it just makes the job so much easier. So a lot of them came and to help celebrate. The next day we did open up a socialization to the policymakers, to community partners for them to attend. We were able to get, like I said, Chuck Grassley's representative did attend, and it was really enlightening. It was my first time advocating for our program to that kind of level. Our agency does it regularly, but for me, I was nervous. It was new to me, but it felt very natural and it was really enlightening to see the education that went with it. There was little known about home visiting. There was a lot known about our Head Start program, early Head Start preschool programs. So to be able to educate on that level and let them know how policies affect us in home visiting, what policies could potentially be changed or looked at to make things easier for us and our families was great. We did offer opportunities and encouraged families to have conversations. They did not want to take that up, and that's okay. We don't want to push them out of their comfort level. So we did a lot of that. Just going back to my notes. I know a question was brought up about how do you get executive directors on board to do this if you are struggling with that. I am fortunate that my executive director is very supportive, but we did have a conversation about helping them understand the importance of staff appreciation and staff wellness. I always talk about a parallel effect. Whenever your staff feel appreciated, whenever their wellness levels are high, whenever they're feeling happy, it trickles down into how are they doing and how are they affecting families. They're seeing that, and then eventually down into how the kids are doing. So that's a lot of the advice I would give for that. And next year, we're already discussing, getting more agencies involved and making this sort of a citywide effort in our area, doing a proclamation to our city, increasing media attention, maybe doing like a video series of a life in the day of a home visitor and pushing that out on Facebook and see if any news crews will pick that up.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lacey. And I will underscore that Senator Grassley was a huge champion for National Home Visiting Week and introduced the resolution And to have that type, for that to be your first experience is huge. And I can understand it feeling like a little bit intimidating, but you did it and you seem to enjoy it and came out on the other side just fine. So I encourage everyone, if you're thinking, oh my goodness, this is really intimidating to think about bringing in policymakers and whatnot, like once you do it, it feels a lot easier once you do it that one time. It's easier after that. And you're already thinking about, okay, how are we going to expand it next year? So exciting. And I appreciate you sharing what all that you did and what we look forward to seeing what you're going to do next year too. Thank you. So next I have, and I think they're on the phone, so hopefully they're able to come off mute. If they're not, we were working through some tech issues earlier, so if they're not, we may have to help them be able to come off of mute and talk. But we have Kathy and Molly, who are from the Children's Trust of South Carolina, to tell us about what they did in the state of South Carolina this year.
Yes, hello. Thanks, Malia. Can you hear me?
Good. Yes, I can hear you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Molly, are you there as well? Okay, Molly,
hear me?
a chance to do. There you go.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
We can.
Okay.
Awesome. So sorry for the tech issues. We're so gracious to be able to be here with you all and talk a little bit about some of the things we did last year for Home Visiting Week. First off, I'm Kathy Ramage. I'm the Director of Home Visiting at the Children's Trust of South Carolina. We are the state lead for administering the McVie grant, and that's primarily my role. There's other funding in South Carolina that supports home visiting, and we're involved in efforts to convene those partners at a state level consortium, which Molly can talk about briefly as well as part of her role. But essentially, our primary focus is administering McVie and then slowly but surely diversifying our funding so that we can expand and do more in South Carolina. So I'll kick it to Molly to introduce herself as well.
Hey, everybody. My name is Molly Huber. I am the Home Visiting Systems Coordinator with Children's Trust of South Carolina. So I work with Kathy. We have an incredible team of a few other people, and I'm just very, very gracious for our team and their efforts. So yeah, part of my role is facilitating the South Carolina Home Visiting Consortium, which we will speak to in a little bit, just how it's kind of related to our efforts to celebrate National Home Visiting Week in 2025 and how we're planning to expand that in 2026 as well.
So we wanted to share just a little about what our goals were last year. In part, we wanted to make sure that every home visitor in our network, especially our funded network, felt appreciated, heard messages of that appreciation and recognition, not only from our state level team, but also their local administrators and site leadership, and publicly through things like social media platforms. We also, given that the week takes place during Child Abuse Prevention Month, really wanted to be intentional about including, sharing out messages about home visiting and how important the work is as part of our CAP Month content messaging plan. Because it was just such a huge opportunity to both promote how the work is so important, but as well thank the individuals that do that work. As it relates to the social media activities, I'll try and be brief because this is the area that I have the least expertise in, and I'm speaking on behalf of an entire department here at Children's Trust. But we included a message of appreciation from our CEO. We had some videos that were already things we were working on or had previously posted that we sort of repackaged to be able to share out as part of content for that week. And then, of course, we also used the national resources from last year to help really frame those messages and include the appropriate tags, et cetera. And again, I will tell you, I feel really, really, really lucky that we have a communications team here at Children's Trust that is just fantastic. And it's been a blessing to have them lead those efforts because in part because they're really good about just understanding the best practices in that regard. And we already had a lot of connections to our local staff, our local partners, and their social media platforms. So when folks post about home visiting in South Carolina, we already have these connections in place to share, repost, like, and when we host something like the Home Visiting Summit or we have the Home Visiting Appreciation Week, we can easily leverage those connections to really create a lot of buzz. And so I can't be more appreciative of just having a communications department that can really lead that up. And I do very little on that end. So we also shared out a list of activities and ideas for how program partners locally could celebrate the week. And we emailed those directly to site leads and supervisors and administrators. And that's already in the toolkit for this year as well. We did kind of package it on our own form, and we tried to not just include folks that we regularly communicated with in regards to the program, but like higher up administrators that might have more influence on whether or not they can allocate additional budget funds outside the grant. So we were thinking, well, for our hospital systems, there's funding potentially to recognize nurses, and maybe if folks are aware that there's a National Home Visiting Week, they can, tap into some of those resources to support recognition for home visitors. So that was some of our philosophy there. And we thought it was also pretty important as far as like packaging that communication on one of our sort of branded documents to also be able to include like a little disclaimer about allowability and just reach out to us if you have any questions. This list is a list of ideas. It's not that we're endorsing any or all of them as something they could do under McV funding. So just to be kind of careful about that and to reach out if they had questions first. And we did a couple other little things, such as a note from our home visiting team that was sent out in our regular newsletter that month, just to our internal funded partner network. We actually hosted a CQI learning session. It happened to be happening that Thursday anyways, but it was great because we were able to recognize and celebrate and thank our local partner staff in person. And we gave everyone a rose to take with them as they left that event at the end of the day. So it was just nice to be able to share like really heartfelt messages of appreciation directly with them in person. But one of the most exciting things that we were, again, really excited to coordinate was a home visiting day at the State House, which I will now turn it over to Molly to tell you more about.
Thank you, Kathy. So as Kathy said, we were very, very excited when we kind of kicked the planning off in 2025 for this week and this event. And we were able to pull together with some of our partners through the consortium. Children's Trust itself kind of facilitated the day at the State House, but we definitely leaned in with our partners and really worked together to promote this event and promote this day across all of the home visiting networks in South Carolina, which was really, really great. The consortium definitely stepped up and assisted really in just getting the word out, encouraging the workforce to come and be present and be celebrated, which was really, really fantastic. So we were able to we actually brought 70 plus home visitors from across the state to Columbia, South Carolina, our capital. We gathered at the Children's Trust office and walked together as a group down to downtown Columbia to the State House, where we were then recognized really and celebrated by both the South Carolina Senate as well as the South Carolina House of Representatives. So both of those parties read resolutions acknowledging the significant work of home visiting in the state. They thanked all of the home visitors present, and they just thanked them for their hard work working with children and families. The group was also able to meet personally with Lieutenant Governor Evatt, who spoke directly to them. She's actually been on a couple home visits with some of our site staff, our funded site staff. So that was just a really, really neat experience for the home visitors present to be able to meet directly with her as a group. She thanked them again for their hard work and just recognized the importance of home visiting for children and families in the state. So that was wonderful. We definitely have continued the celebration across months after Home Visiting Week. We recently in September hosted the South Carolina Home Visiting Summit, which brought 250 home visitors and early interventionists, any child and family serving professional, brought them together for a day and a half of professional development, which we were also then able to recognize 2 awardees. We awarded a Community Leader of the Year as well as a Home Visitor of the Year. So that was really exciting and special for us as well. And we're excited to move forward with planning 2026 activities. I think that's it, Kathy. I don't think I forgot anything.
Thank you both so much.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kathy.
No, it's okay. I think you covered it, Molly. I think in just kind of closing, I think we really tried to be intentional about kind of having these broader goals again, but like bringing it down to earth to where, you know, we had donuts for folks before we walked to the State House, and we made sure they had like little tokens of, they were little thank you messages on like little acrylic things. I don't know. We found some Amazon really kind of like, and just little tokens that they could take back and sit on their desk and look over and see that message of, you were doing great work, keep doing it, and encouragement. And so I think just overall with all that we feel like we accomplished and did really well, I think I'm most proud of the pieces of it that I think folks walked away. I could see smiles on their faces and they truly felt appreciated. And that was the most important to me personally. So that's the only other thing I would add.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think my last little tidbit, just from that, Kathy, is we were really, really proud of kind of the partnerships that were developed through the planning and execution of this across the state. We had a very mixed group of home visitors present that day. So we had a lot of people from our network, as well as some of our partnering agencies and partnering networks. So that was just a really incredible opportunity to form those deeper connections, get the workforce together, allow them to make connections that they definitely carried on past that day as well.
Thank you. Thank you both so much. I know you can't see the screen right now, but while you were speaking, there were hearts and cheers and things, emojis that were floating up across the screen, celebrating all of the things that you did. And I will say that if anyone is interested too, and kind of going back and looking, you want to see the digital footprint of what they did in South Carolina. If you Google it, National Home Visiting Week in South Carolina or Children's Trust, you'll pull up a lot of different blog posts and articles and pictures from their, day at the legislature, everything. Like there's a pretty substantial digital footprint out there. And all of that takes so much coordination and partnership that goes into it, the other 51 weeks out of the year before you get to that point. One other quick follow-up question I had is, you did all of this for 2025, which is amazing. So what are you guys thinking about for 2026?
Molly, do you want to take that, or
I
They're like,
can.
nothing,
Yeah.
we're done.
Yeah. No. I can. I was waiting to see if Kathy wanted to take it. No, we're very excited. I think that was one takeaway from us from last year. Just we're trying to be very intentional with the timeline of planning this day and all of everything that goes into this week. We've already started discussions with our network, with our internal team, with some of our partners, the consortium. Just, hey guys, remember this is coming up. Like let's start thinking through how we can really celebrate the workforce this year. But one thing specifically that we are hoping to do, Children's Trust is planning on facilitating with partnership with the consortium, another State House Day. And we would really like to expand on that and try to schedule out individual meetings with different representatives for our home visitors to be able to have the opportunity to connect and speak with, politicians and leaders that are serving and representing their specific areas in the state. So doing a lot of what we did last year, but also just expanding and hoping to offer some more opportunities like that on that day.
Excellent. Just building on what you've already started will be so fantastic. And I thank you both so much. And thank you, Lacey, as well, for sharing all of the things that you all have done. Thank you for all the work that you've done. This year was our first year doing this. So it was kind of like, let's be innovative and figure out what we're going to do and how we're going to celebrate this. And you guys did such a nice job with it. And thank you for being patient as well as we were dealing with a few tech issues. I appreciate that. And I know we all appreciate you giving your time. Also, I know Kathy and Molly, you're not able to see the screen. I don't see any additional questions in the chat about this, but there may be some that people think of later on. And I am happy I can pop my email address into the chat and share that. And if they have any questions for you all, I can pass them on to you after the webinar today. So thank you. Thank you so much. I'm not sure the next slide.
While we're waiting for the next slide,
Okay.
I just want to say thank you to Kathy and Molly and Lacey and Jean for joining us and sharing a little bit about what they did in 2025. And keeping in mind, in 2025, people had very little notice. I mean, this was a concept of an idea in October of 2025. And we actually started moving forward on it in like January of 2025. I'm sorry, October of 2024. So people had just a few months, and it's amazing what people pulled off. And I know that I continue to hear from home visitors from across this country about what that meant to them. So when you describe like, having donuts for people, it was a big deal. Don't underestimate the power of that. Lacey, you and Jean bringing in lunch for all the home visitors, it was a big deal. They felt recognized and seen, and it really truly, you made a difference. And I think there's so many things that probably have happened that we won't be able to measure in any adequate way for very many years. But like, how does it impact retention? How does it impact home visitor well-being? Just for all of us just to pause and say thank you and recognize their hard work and contributions. I'll turn it over to, I can't remember who's our next speaker either, but somebody knows that they're next. I think it's Benjamin.
It is me again, and I apologize I didn't introduce myself earlier. I'm Benjamin Hazelton, and I work with Parents as Teachers National Center. So you probably noticed that Joey did put a link to the nomination, the toolkit in the chat earlier. I bet she'll put it in again, as well as to the homepage. So that means that the nominations are live, and you can start nominating early and often. We do encourage folks to make sure that their applications are complete, including this year, there are some consent opportunity, folks to provide their consent to have photos taken, et cetera, in advance, so that we're ready when folks are selected to do all of the outreach and promotion activities. It will be open until January 9th, 2026. We extended it past the holiday just in case people get busy in the rush to the holidays, that they come back to work and be like, oh, I forgot to do that. But don't wait. You can start nominating now. We only have 5 days in the home visiting week, so 5 home visitors will be recognized, 1 for each day of that week. And hold in mind that in the selection process, which I honestly hope I don't have to be a part of because it's going to be hard, I think. I mean, I like the idea of it, but I don't know that I want to have such tough decisions to make. But the group will be making choices that include things like the variety of models of home visiting that are provided across the nation, and also to represent the different kinds of communities that exist in our nation, to make sure that we're covering everything and not just focused on one model or one location in the country. So hold that in mind. I'm sure everybody who's nominated is worthy of being recognized. And we have just the 5 slots. So again, should not prevent anybody from nominating everyone they want to, because we do see the broader value of having the recognition across all of the home visiting professionals that represent our work. Next slide.
Hey. Thanks, Benjamin. Hey, everybody, this is Roddy Jones. I work with Safe Care with the National Safe Care Training and Research Center. And it is so cool to see this come together And Janet, thank you for including us models here at the table to be a part of this. It's great to be a part of. Last year was such a huge success, like Benjamin said, even with a little less time for planning the nominations. And I'm so glad there is more time for nominations this year. One of our safe care providers was selected last year as the National Home Visitor of the Year out in Texas. And it was such a huge encouragement and motivator to her and also the entire team around her. So they really felt that recognition as a whole. So it was really, really great boost in morale. I also want to say, I know home visiting is a field and a profession, but I look around on this call and it's such a community. I mean, I was with Benjamin and Malia last week in person. I was on the phone with Malia right before this call. I was on the phone with Kathy and Molly yesterday. I saw Janet and her team last month in person. So it's just so great. This feels like a nice bringing together of everybody. One thing I wanted to highlight here was there are some wonderful templates in this year's toolkit for proclamations, and these are not limited to the state level. These could be proclamations for use with state, at the city level or municipal level, county level, tribal level, and more. Those are wonderful starting points. We would encourage y'all to start as soon as possible in getting those in. So get them in sooner than you think so that the proclamations can be run through and put on the docket for either your state or city or tribe or county council or county commission. One moment, I've got a question from my daughter. You can, I'll help you in just a second, okay? All right, had to handle that first. So we'd encourage you to get those in as soon as you can. You can find those templates in your toolkits starting on page 14. And on pages 15 and 16, there are also some really good press releases. So y'all are welcome to use those with local media as well. It's got a lot of great language and again, a really good starting point that y'all can tweak and tailor as needed to your area and to your home visiting teams in your community. And with that, we can move on to some time for general questions. We got plenty of time for Q&A. We'd love to see your questions in the chat, or if you want to raise your hand, we can highlight you that way.
Hey, Roddy, this isn't a question. And I wrote it in the chat already, but I just wanted to point out, because when I listened to Molly talk about the proclamation that they did in South Carolina, it wasn't a governor's proclamation. And quite frankly, our proclamation at the national level wasn't the president, it was a Senate proclamation. So sometimes look at those different layers that you can do
Sure.
and how you can connect. It can be, a bipartisan House and Senate proclamation in your state could be really cool to pull off that as well. And you have to know about in your state who are those champions because you already have some. And then how can you leverage this opportunity to build more? Because this is something that people want to be part of. It's like it gives them all the good feels. It gives them good press. Right, right now, elected officials are not getting great press.
They need this.
Yeah, they need it. They need it. So don't be afraid to ask. And we are all here. All the people on that planning committee and at the Institute are here to help you. So if you feel like you're getting stuck, reach out and we'll assign one of us to help you walk through what you need to do and give you that extra support that you need.
No, thank you for highlighting that, Janet.
This is Christy Russa from Iowa. I just wanted to chime in and say, when Janet says please reach out, she genuinely does mean that. Because I just had an hour-long, granted, it was part fun because I used to work with her. She was one of my mentors for 9 years, almost 10, which is crazy. But she was really helpful with assisting me with understanding there are different routes to go beyond just, the governor or just, our HHS wheelhouse that we're sitting in right now. So I just want to encourage everybody, if you guys haven't reached out and asked about your state specifically, like I always joke that she has a Rolodex of people and information in her brain that she just constantly stores. And I just really want to encourage everybody to tap into that because I've been doing it for 9, almost 10 years now, and I'm still tapping in all the time.
Well, Christy, that reminded me too of a few other points that we talked about because, we learn by doing. And I know last year, Amalia, Prevent Child Abuse America did a proclamation from their board of directors. That's really powerful. I mean, that's powerful to the rest of us. And so be thinking about, again, at your local level, your state level, who are those private nonprofit boards that may be, very interested in doing a proclamation that supports home visiting? And, so be thinking through some of those options as well instead of limiting yourself to only policymakers.
Yeah, thank you, Janet. Yeah, it was nice to have the board, sign off on and endorse this proclamation because it really gave them an opportunity if they had additional questions, they're learning about home visiting, they may, have, this was a good learning opportunity for them like it is for policymakers. But also showed another level of commitment from the board, right, to home visiting and just showing that they support the work that we're doing. So it's a great way just to get a sign on an endorsement from your board that they're supporting your work. And then other opportunities may come from that as well as you have those conversations. Maybe there's opportunities to share with the organizations that they work with about home visiting and what's available, the services that are available in your communities, et cetera. It's a carries on. It can carry on and pay dividends on down the road. So I encourage you all to do that. And also too, I'll mention that for the HFA network, I've been collecting examples from folks willing to share like what all that they've been what all they did for 2025. And they've been sending me so many examples. So I am pulling all of those together to share back out with the network. And there have just been so many cool things that I've learned about, like Etsy artwork that's dedicated to home visitors that are digital. Like if you go and search on Etsy, you can pull up a home visitor, a digital download that you can print out that describes how wonderful home visitors are. And have that printed out for the staff. I mean, just all kinds of neat things that they found on Amazon, like Kathy had mentioned too. Just so many innovative things that the networks have done. So I can't wait to see what happens in 2026 because 2025 was so much fun.
It was. I had no idea that there was an Etsy, like stores within Etsy that are dedicated to home visiting. So now I'm going to have to go check that out.
Yes.
It also made me think about this last year, I've been doing a keynote or workshop called RESPECT, like the Aretha Franklin song. And one of the questions that I pose in that workshop to all the attendees is, first tell me about a job that you really, really loved. What was it about that job? What was it about the organization that why you loved it? Then I also ask, what's it going to take to keep good home visitors in the field? And one of the things that I hear that's like one of the weak spots is home visitors when they're housed within an organization that's a large organization and home visiting is a teeny tiny little piece of what that organization does. They don't feel seen, they don't feel recognized. Personnel policies don't necessarily fit for them, because it's based on like it's a hospital, it's based on people that work inside the hospital where they work outside the hospital. And that really made me think about this whole conversation with the board of directors and what an opportunity it could be for some of these folks that don't feel seen is to try to get that proclamation from their board of directors while explaining how at home visiting is and how it furthers the mission of the organization. Because sometimes you have to connect the dots for them. They are not going to, but you know how you further that mission. And so connecting those dots, it could be a really great opportunity. Again, it can make big ripples throughout that organization just by starting there. I am sure that you all have questions. You joined because you wanted to ask questions. And now you're being shy. And home visitors are not shy. You're not a shy group.
Janet, I'll hop in. I'm not shy, you know that. And I don't have any questions. I am just like feverishly writing down notes on and planning already for what I want to do. shortly before National Home Visiting Week, we had a kind of like a mental health retreat. And so we brought all of our staff together. We had our mental health consultants do a training on polyvagal theory. And we just kind of had a decompression day where we could get together and laugh and eat. And those are all my favorite things to do. And so that's what we did. But we also did just little appreciation bags for each of our staff. And most of them were practical things, but I was able to reference back to them today when we had a bunch of them together because we're coming up on winter. We're in Iowa. I said, I don't want you in ditches in the snow, and I know you're going to be out when it's snowing. And so one of the things in there was portable battery chargers. So I'm like, make sure your battery chargers are charged. So like giving them the practical things that I can justify, making sure we can buy, but making sure that they're things that are useful, but also like we care about you. So I'm already spinning my wheels on how we can make it bigger and better this year. We did a lot of social media posting. And we cover a pretty sizable area in Iowa. And so for us, it's a little unique trying to figure out how we make sure we get all of our spaces. But my staff will tell you I take on too much most days. But so we're looking forward to how we can incorporate connecting to all of those communities and really celebrating this work. So I have no questions. I'm just jazzed.
Being jazzed and sharing is okay. So, sharing your ideas or things that you've done. Again, it's all about helping home visitors feel appreciated for the contributions that they make all the time and seen as a valued member of your organization. And so whatever things you've done in the past, we're happy to hear those. And if you have ideas about what you're thinking about, what you might want to do next year, like Jordan, when you were talking about the battery chargers, I'm thinking I have had my eye on one of those little. It's like a 4-inch air, like a tire inflator thing that like you could. It doesn't take up much space, like this little portable tire inflator. I'm like, I need one of those for my car. Not that I have ever had a flat tire, but just in case. I think that would be a cool little gadget to have. But I like gadget. Oh, collapsible shovel. I like that idea too. Dig yourself out. Other ideas or comments or questions or things that you're thinking about, you're amongst friends. So this is a great place to share what you're thinking. Well, if we don't have questions, you know, you have Malia put her email address in the chat. You can contact Malia, but really you can contact any of us. And if you reach out to me and you want to reach out to Benjamin, I can get you in touch with Benjamin. I can get you in touch with Roddy. So feel free to do that. And I like Jordan's idea about buying billboards with their faces if I could. That would be really pretty cool, wouldn't it? To be able to do that. But we'll go on to our last slide that talks about what's coming next. I think you were doing this one, Shannon.
I did not know that. Here I am. All right. So in closing, just you want to make sure that you stay up to date on our website for all the updates that are going to be coming up. And that's the Institute website's linked right there. Also, please make sure that you're following us on Facebook and LinkedIn. And then again, please do reach out to us with any questions. So you can see the email there. It's communications@institutefsp.org. We are really here to be responsive and supportive of you. We want you to be contacting us. Please do not shy away from that. The more communication, the better. Also, this webinar is going to be recorded and it will be posted on our website. So be on the lookout for that. And then we do have another webinar on January 14th. We're going to be sharing some updates to the toolkit. So you're going to be on the lookout for that. And it is already live and you can register for that now. So we recommend that you do that because it will fill up quickly.
Yeah, I'll have that. I'll put all that on our social media so everybody will find it. And it'll also be on our website.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Anybody else in the planning committee have anything they would like to share before we close?
Just, I think year one was very successful, and am really looking forward to the opportunities to take it further in the second year, given that we're providing ourselves a little more time and have had the opportunity of learning some lessons.
Yes. I echo that. And thank you for inviting us to be a part of this. Like Roddy mentioned earlier, I'm happy to be here and a resource for everyone as and a connector as needed. And really looking forward to seeing what comes out of this in 2026. I know that for me, I think about like we really need some positivity, I feel like. And I feel like people are hungry for that. So I'm excited to be a part of this, just to really lift up home visitors, and it's an exciting time. I know it seems like it's a ways away, but it'll be here before we know it. So looking forward to it.
Well, thanks you, all of you that joined us, that are here. Stay tuned, as Shannon said, to look for updates. The toolkit does get revised on a fairly regular basis as new things get added to it. So that's what when we do the webinar, we usually have just did a lot of additions. In January, the social media templates will all be added, and we'll also have our tips for educators coming out in January. And what I'm excited about that is it gives you an opportunity to leverage relationships with your universities and community colleges and perhaps even high school to say, have you thought about how you can incorporate National Home Visiting Week to help your students think about home visiting as even a possible career? And one of the things that I hear from universities is we don't have internships with home visiting programs. So be thinking about how you might be able to develop that. Also, who would I call if I wanted a home visitor to come and talk to my students about what they do? So again, you can offer that. You can be proactive and call your university partners and say, we're willing to do this week. Here are some other tips of how you could incorporate home visiting. Because in addition to retaining our workforce by recognizing them and giving them the appreciation that they so deserve, we also want to help build a clearer pathway into the home visiting field. And this is just one small way that we can do that. Again, thank you all for joining us. Look forward to more conversations and more work as we work on this together. I think it's going to be really big, not just bigger and better, but like really, really big this year. So I'm very, very excited about it. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everybody. Please reach out.